So the title of the talk today is Still I Rise, and that's based on the poem by Maya Angelou, and Ginger has a song, the same topic. So they kind of all fit together very nicely. Carla is going to read Still I Rise by Maya Angelou.
Yes.
Good morning, beautiful people. Happy Easter, happy Passover, happy Ramadan. Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Because I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room? Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head, lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. From the past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling. I bear the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wonderfully clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hopes of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
There are a bunch of stories of oppression that come up this time of year. Passover, which started on Wednesday, was part of the long saga of the Hebrew people being oppressed by somebody. In that case, it was the Egyptians. And finally at Passover, when they and God had had enough, the plagues had been sent to encourage the Pharaoh to let them go. And the last of them was the angel of death visiting all of the doors that were not marked. And that kind of convinced the Egyptians to take a little pause so that the Israelites could race to Israel, where they've been happily living ever since. Still additional stories. There's the story of Jesus, who at the end of his ministry was oppressed by the powers that be, and they really did not like the message that he was coming out with, so they killed him off. And that was the end of the story, except it wasn't. On Easter, he rose and came back and has been living in hearts and minds ever since. So the stories of oppression are different for everybody. And the stories of rising and that resurrection beyond the oppression is different for all of us. Everybody has a story of some time that they've been betrayed or undermined or attacked. And we're still here, so we got over it somehow. And the transformation that happens as we go through that process of getting over it, of coming back into equilibrium and being who we are, that's the story. Crucifixion, probably not a very happy day for Jesus. And there's a lot of stories and a lot of detail about the Via Dolorosa and the whole path that he was on and the story. And it's called Good Friday. Now, why would you take a day like that and call it good? And the reason is, without that crucifixion experience, the resurrection was not possible. So that's the reminder. Every time that we're dealing with a challenge, is that there is a possibility to rise beyond it. There's always the possibility to rise beyond it. Ramadan is celebrating essentially the revelation of the first surah of the Quran when it was revealed to Muhammad. And during that period of time, the story was that the gates of hell were closed and the gates of heaven were open. Another interesting transformation. It is happening right about the spring equinox, which is when the transformation in the agricultural world is happening. If you've been looking around, the tulips are out and they are proud and they are showing off. And the daffodils have been around for a little while and they're showing off too. And there is an opportunity for that new possibility, that springtime, to be revealing itself. And the lesson that we all get to take, especially when there's the confluence of Easter and Passover and Ramadan and the equinox, is that the story repeats itself in lots of different ways. And the story gets to repeat itself for us. So, martyrdom aside, let's go for agriculture. And we talk about this a lot. We talk about the seeds that we're planting and the crop that we're growing. And we're free to choose whatever crop it is that we want to grow. We are also accountable for whatever choice we've made, whatever seeds we've planted, because that's what's going to be coming up. I don't know anybody who intentionally plants poison ivy seeds. But if you did, you really don't have any recourse to be unhappy when there's poison ivy in the yard or the garden. So the question isn't what's going to be growing anyway, what's going to be showing up in your life anyway. The question is, what are you yearning for? What's your heart singing for? If you could plant anything, if you could grow anything, what would you grow? And a lot of times we think about this in our heads. We try and figure it out. Oh, I'd like to have this and I'd like to have that, and then put the plan together for my life. And sometimes that works just fine. And sometimes we can outsmart ourselves, because the things that we should want, or the things that we've been told that we should want, or the things that we've convinced ourselves that people like us ought to have, doesn't really cut it for us. Go into your heart. Drop that 18 inches, the most difficult 18 inches to travel, from your head into your heart, and open yourself up. What's my heart yearning for? What would feed my soul? What would fill me? And that's not necessarily a one and done. Oh, I'm going to go sit down for 5 minutes, like during the commercial break, the basketball game or something, and I'm going to work out what's the best for my life during that time period. It's comical, isn't it, to think that it's going to work that way? But sometimes we give it just that much attention. Oh, well, that's done. I thought about that, so now I know. The interesting thing about new stuff, I'm going to say it, it's new. When something new is happening, when something transformational is happening in our lives, it's because it hasn't happened before. It's new. And it's not like we've just been sitting on the bench waiting for something to happen for our entire life. What's been going on up until then? Everything. Right. Everything else. All the old stuff. So, as we're opening ourselves up to something new, as our heart is saying, this is something that would really fill me. This is something that would really feed me. There's the possibility there's something in our experience, something in our training, something in our background that's holding us back. So what is it? What could it possibly be? What could there be that we have to let go of in order to make room for that newness in our life? Well, in this teaching, we say your new life begins with a new thought, or you're creating your life experience through your beliefs. And that means that everything that you're experiencing is the result of your beliefs. And some of them are things that we believe very strongly, and we know that we believe, and it's really clear. And other things are more subtle. We don't really think about them, but when somebody points it out, it's like, well, yeah, I believe that. And then there are the hidden ones. the stuff that we believe that we didn't know we believed, the stuff that has always just been unquestionable. The newness happens when we're ready to question the stuff that we've never questioned before and say, what if that were different? What if I were different? It's interesting that you can have anything. You can have anything that you truly want. I used to say you can have anything, you can't have everything. The great philosopher Stephen Wright said, you can't have everything, where would you keep it? You can have anything, and you have to pay for it. And you don't have to pay for it by getting a job and earning money and having a 401k. We pay for it with our spiritual coin. We pay for whatever it is that we want to have through our belief. When I am ready to have a new experience, I get to start with a new belief. I get to change my belief about what my life is, what it's been up until now, what it can be, and use that as a jumping off point for something new. And sometimes it's really easy. And I wanted you to hear that. Sometimes it's really easy. Because sometimes it's really not easy. Sometimes it's really not easy. Changing our beliefs is a process. It's an event. It's a big deal. These beliefs are things that we've had sometimes for our entire life. And when we uncover them and discover them and reveal them to ourselves, and then we look at them and we think, oh, I don't really want to have that anymore. And we get to uproot that old belief, clearing out the weeds from our metaphorical garden to make room for whatever it is that we really wanted to plant. Because maybe the weeds are interfering with our poison ivy crop. I don't know. You know, you're growing whatever it is that you want to be growing, and I'm not going to be in judgment about that. So are you ready for your good?
Yes.
Not just to have it, to embody it. Jesus is all ready. Yeah. It's not something that's given to us. It's something that comes into being as us. When we have these transformational experiences, it's not something getting handed to us. It's something we get to grow into, we get to expand into, we get to deepen into. And it wells up inside of us and brings something new into our experience. And sometimes there's something holding us back. Sometimes our old attitudes and beliefs are holding us back. And getting past those is called surrender. We have to be able to move past what we have done, what we have believed, what we've experienced before, to make room for something new. And then sometimes the way things are is based on what other people did or said or believed or taught us or treated us. And it's not necessarily their beliefs, but it's their actions, the attitudes of other people that have influenced us and brought us to where we are now. And a lot of times, those experiences remain operative in our lives and create new experiences. I was treated badly when I was a kid or a teenager. I wasn't feeling loved and have been having a hard time with love for my entire life. I need to get to the point where I can own that experience so I can step past it. Just going through saying, no, it's fine. I'm good. Everything's fine over here. And not being willing to look at the painful previous experience we had leaves us locked into it. And there is actually a term for that process of letting go of the energy that come from other people's actions and attitudes. You know what that one is? Forgiveness. The big F word. Forgiveness. And again, forgiveness is not about condoning unacceptable behavior. All these problems and challenges and difficulties we've had have been because of that bad behavior that has happened to us. Forgiveness is about no longer letting that define us. Forgiveness is about taking the energy from that and letting it stay with that so that we can move on and do something new. Oh, and when you're sitting there looking for what your heart is yearning for, opening yourself up to that brand newness, there's liable to be some things coming up about why you can't have it, why you don't deserve it, why it's not going to work, why it can't happen. And it's not always a one and done linear process of saying, oh, here's something that I used to believe, I'm going to believe something different. Sometimes there's a process of going through that to uncover just exactly how big that experience was, how meaningful it was in our lives, so that we can transcend it and move past it. So the other question to ask, when we're asking, what's my heart yearning for? What's holding me back? What is keeping that from happening for me now? So as you prepare for whatever it is that's going to be new, whatever that transformational experience you're going to have, there's something really important to do. And I don't think you've seen this one coming. Take some before pictures. Seeing people, bodybuilders and people who are weight loss, and you have before and after pictures. Take some before pictures. Give yourself an anchor point. This is where I am today. And by the way, they're free now. You used to have to go out and buy film and then get it processed to have the pictures. Now is your phone, is click and snap. But you can be very intentional. This is where I am on April 9th, 2023, Easter, Passover, Ramadan, springtime, as I'm opening myself up to a brand new possibility. And an idea of what that after picture is going to look like, or what that next generation picture looks like. Because when we're inviting a new experience, it's new. You don't have pictures that look like that yet. You don't have that group photo of the group that you're looking to be together with, or the honeymoon couple picture, or whatever it is that's calling to you. Take some before pictures, because that's a nice anchor point to say, I am willing to acknowledge that this is where I am, this is how I look, this is how I feel, this is what's going on, and use this as a starting point. And the pictures can be metaphorical. You can write in a journal. You can do any of the other practices that you might use to commemorate and anchor this end of the journey, or this point in the journey. And I will remind you that transformation is like a lightning strike. They say that lightning doesn't strike the same place twice. My joke is that the same place isn't there a second time because it got hit by lightning. When we're inviting in that transformation, that lightning strike, that change, we're opening up to something that hasn't happened before. Something that's new, that's possible for us. We get to choose what that could be. Not necessarily the specifics, but the tone, the texture, the flavor. Who am I when I have this new experience? Then take those before pictures, take those snapshots, and do the process. And be prepared to do the process again and again and again. And maybe there's going to be one of those stories, a holiday that's named after you. Maybe something that has happened to you has been so horrible that the transformation will be so spectacular that there will be stories told about it in 2,000 or 5,000 years. Or a personal story of personal transformation and uplift and something wonderful happening. And then you'll be able to remember back, oh, I used to have such difficulty with fill in the blank. And then you can go back and look at the before pictures and say, wow, look how far I've come. So that newness is available to each of us, to all of us. Happy Easter, happy Passover, happy Ramadan. Happy time. So it is.
I went from nowhere to now here I am, and it feels so good to know where I stand. It feels so nice to know who I am, and it feels so good to get up and get up and dance, 'cause I don't Get up and dance. Get up and dance. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. Trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. Shoot me with your words, cut me with your eyes. Kill me with your hatefulness, like the air I'll rise. I know better now than to let you dim my shine. So much better than to let your words employ my mind. Oh, 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 you got to rise up, darling, after you break the fall. Rise up, child, you got to walk it all. Rise up, break the fall, you got to rise up, rise up. Just get up and dance. Get up and dance. Just get up and dance. Just get up and dance. Ooh.
Believing that divine intelligence is ever available, open your consciousness to its guidance. Keep your mind steadfast to the thought that you are governed by divine intelligence. Feel that you are impelled to make right decisions, that you are compelled to act upon these decisions intelligently. Turn resolutely from every sense of lack, want, and limitation, and declare that the perfect law of good is operating in, for, and through you. Say to yourself, through complete reliance on spirit, I calmly face all false conditions, seeing through them to that invisible reality which molds and recreates my affairs after a divine pattern. With a penetrating spiritual vision, I dissipate all obstructions, dissolve all wrong conditions. Standing still, I watch the sure salvation of the law of good. I know that my word transmutes and transmits every energy into constructive action, producing health, harmony, happiness, and success. I know there is something at the center of my being which is absolutely certain of itself. It has complete assurance, and it gives me complete assurance that all is well. I expect everything I do to prosper. I enthusiastically expect success. I let good flow into my experience. I am seeing good in every direction I look. I am looking forward to more good. I think with clarity, move with ease, and accomplish without strain.